right, let's see if anybody hops on.
All right.
Scoot on back. Let's see.
Oops.
So you can see. Cool. There's some people hopping on. Awesome. Thanks for hopping on, guys. We'll get started in just a minute. All right, cool. Well, thank you everybody for hopping on. We're gonna go ahead and kick this off. My name is Ben Sterling. I serve as the Senior Director of Content here at Tennessee Achieves, and I'm joined by my coworker Amy Bain for our first in a series of FAFSA Q&As on Instagram and Facebook Live. We're going to do this all the way through the February 1st deadline, so thanks for hopping on, and hopefully you'll join us in future sessions. But this first one, we're going to really just kind of focus on summarizing what the FAFSA is, talking about what it is, and collect some of your questions. So as we move along in this live, if you're live with us on Facebook or on Instagram, just submit your questions on there in the chat, and we will address those as we move along. But I'm going to go ahead and let Amy introduce herself and tell us a little bit about just kind of introducing what the FAFSA is.
Well, happy Friday, everyone. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it. My name is Amy Bain, and I am the Senior Director of Post-Secondary Impact here at Tennessee Achieves. And we are in FAFSA season, and so if you haven't already heard about FAFSA, make sure you're checking your emails. We're sending you a lot of information about it. But the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and that serves as the application for the federal Pell Grant, the state Hope and Lottery scholarships, and the state TSAA awards. And so those awards, if you're a Tennessee Promise student, are the awards that are applied to your account at the college before Tennessee Promise paid out. So the FAFSA is a really important form for you to fill out. It's a requirement to stay eligible for the scholarship. And it's really great. It's a long form. It can be hard and confusing to fill out sometimes, but when you fill it out, when you get it submitted, that is what puts you in line for all of that financial aid outside of Tennessee Promise. So it's pretty important to your college career.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why we do things like a live on Instagram and try to go to events at the high schools and do everything that we can to help with the FAFSA is because, number one, like Amy said, it is a requirement for the Tennessee Promise Scholarship. So most of you viewing this are Tennessee Promise students. So you have to file the 2022-2023 FAFSA to remain eligible for the scholarship. So very, very important and something that we dedicate a lot of our time and resources to, particularly this time of year. So like I said, if you're hopping on here live with us, go ahead and submit your questions. I know that I put out a little notice on our story ahead of time to see if we got any questions, but it doesn't look like we've received any yet. So if you have any questions, type those in the chat there, and we will certainly address them live on air. But while we're on here, until some people submit some questions, Amy, if you want to go ahead and just give me maybe 2 or 3 common roadblocks or hiccups that students might run into while they are filing the FAFSA.
Sure. One of the most common things we see is that students don't file the correct form. So you want to make sure you're going to FAFSA.gov, FAFSA.gov. That's the correct form. And you want to make sure that you are also filing the 2022-2023 FAFSA. That's for the upcoming school year. Some students log in and they see the one for the current school year, which is the 2021-2022 application, and fill that out, but that's incorrect. You need to make sure you're doing the 22-23 FAFSA. That's the first big hiccup. The second big hiccup is that students don't remember their FSA ID. That FSA ID is your username and password to create and log into your FAFSA. That also serves as your electronic signature for both you as the student and the parent. Your parent will need to sign that. So you each create your own. So make sure you remember that. When you create that, write that down somewhere safe with all of your other college passwords and important information, because you may need to log back into your FAFSA at a later date. So forgetting your FSA ID, filing the wrong FAFSA, and then waiting until the last minute. That is a huge, huge issue that many of our students face. The FAFSA is due. You must have it submitted by February 1st of 2022. I know that sounds like a long ways away. We still have to get through Christmas and New Year's and start the spring term, but February will come quickly. So it's a mistake a lot of students make is waiting until February 1st and starting at maybe 10 or 11 p.m. I have until 11:59 p.m. I can fill this form out. Bad idea. So it may take longer for you to fill out the form than you think. You may have a lot of questions that if you're filling that form out at 10 or 11 p.m., no one's around to help you. You may not be able to answer our phones. And then if you have any technology issues, if your internet goes out, if your power goes out, if there's anything that causes you to submit that FAFSA after 11:59 p.m. on February 1st, you become ineligible for Tennessee Promise, and we don't want that to happen. So make sure that you're working on that now. I would suggest making it a goal to be done by New Year's. File that FAFSA before you start the new year. You're already ahead of the game. And if you need help, reach out to Tennessee Achieves. Make sure you're checking your email. You can respond to any email or any text that you receive from your Tennessee Achieves coach. You can also reach out to the colleges that you plan to attend. Their financial aid offices are more than willing to set up time to help you file that. And also talk to your high school counselors. There may be FAFSA filing dates scheduled at your high school after the break that you can participate in. That's someone there at the school that can help you get that FAFSA started and filed for you.
Yeah, I think one of the things that students often maybe forget or don't realize is that the parents are equally involved in this as the student is. And so while you're home and you're around family through the holidays, it's a good time to go ahead and just knock that FAFSA out while you're in front of your parents a lot of times during that time period. So, I would love for most students to come back after the Christmas holiday having filed the FAFSA. All really, really good pieces of advice. I think one of the things that always shocks me is when we get to the deadline and a student misses the deadline because they filed the wrong year's FAFSA. And it's an easy mistake to make. We're going to remind you in case if you do accidentally do that, we'll try to catch it and remind you, but just make sure. 2022, 2023. And if you have questions, always let us know. So again, type your questions in. We'll get to them. We've got one, so let's see what the question is. I was filing my FAFSA, and I got to ask, why do they need my parents and my social security number? Excellent question. I'll let Amy answer that one.
Sure. So that social security number is tied to your tax information. And so that's essentially why they need it. You use that social as your unique identifier. So that makes sure that they know that it's you. If I'm filling out the FAFSA as Amy Bain, I need to use my social. If I mistype my social, or if I maybe use my mom's social, that can confuse all of the information on my FAFSA. And then there could be an issue with my Tennessee Promise. There could be an issue with my aide at the college. And so they use your social as a way to identify that it's you. The FAFSA site is secure. So you're not at risk of putting in your social on something that's an unsecure site. It is with the Department of Ed, the federal government that deals with the FAFSA. You're filing it with them. As long as you're going to FAFSA.gov. That is why they ask for your social. Yeah,
I would reiterate FAFSA.gov. Unfortunately, there are sites out there that try to kind of trick you into going to the wrong site to collect information like that. So if you go to the correct website, FAFSA.gov, you'll always know you're on the right site. Right at the top of that site, it says it's an official U.S. government website, and that's kind of how you know you're there. But .gov, it is a secure site. It's designed to collect that information, so you can feel confident when submitting that on there.
We also share that link in all of our FAFSA email reminders, and we share that on our social media. So if you're not checking your email, make sure you are. If you don't see emails from Tennessee Achieves, check your spam or junk folder and add us as a safe sender. We send you an email every week with the information that you need. So you want to make sure you're checking those emails.
Absolutely. Yeah, FAFSA.gov. Unrelated question here, but it's a good one. How do I know if my virtual community service is finished or on my account? So we actually have a form on our website. So if you go to tnachieves.org/community-service or just Google Tennessee Achieves Community Service, there's a form at the top of that page that says check my community service hours. You can log in there and see how many hours have been submitted, or you can just email us, DM us here on Instagram. I can collect your information and we can get your account pulled up and we can check that for you manually, whatever's easiest for you. But certainly let us know. We want you to be sure.
Yeah, you'll also get a confirmation email anytime you successfully submit your community service, either through the virtual webinars or if you submit in-person hours that you've completed. So anytime you complete a webinar, anytime you successfully submit those community service hours, you'll get a confirmation email. Again, that may go to your spam, so make sure you're keeping that on file.
Yeah, good advice.
Yeah.
So again, if you have questions, type those in the chat, type them in the questions box, and we'll answer those. If you're with us on Facebook, same thing. Just type those in there. We're monitoring it. We've got another one. I'm not getting any Tennessee Achieves emails. What do I need to do? That's bad. We need to get that fixed.
We need to figure out what's going on. The first thing you need to do is check your spam or junk folder. If you have a Gmail, you may also need to check your promotions folder. So they could be in there. But if you look in your email, they're still not in spam, they're still not in junk, send us an email. You can send it to, I'll give you my email address. My name is Amy, it's AMY, and that's at tnachieves.org. So Amy at tnachieves.org. Or you can go to our website, tnachieves.org, and email anyone on that Contact Us page. And we will make sure that we get your email address updated in our system and let you know what your next steps are.
Also, you can just DM us on Instagram. Come straight to me, and I've probably updated 15 email addresses this fall just through Instagram Messenger. So certainly reach out to us that way. Easy update, easy to get in touch with us that way.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. We've had a lot of people hop in and hop out. I'm not seeing any more questions. So last call for questions before we wrap this up. Again, we'll be back every Friday between now, except for the Friday after Christmas. But every other Friday we'll be here on live on Instagram to answer your questions and provide reminders and insight around not only FAFSA but other Tennessee Promise requirements to make sure that you're on track to stay eligible and be successfully enrolled in college in the fall. So last call for questions. If you have anything, put them in the questions box in the chat. Otherwise, Amy, you have any parting words?
The only thing I have is a reminder that you have to file the 2022-2023 FAFSA by 11:59 p.m. on February 1st using your 2020 tax information for your parent and for you if you worked that year.
Oh, there's a kind of a interesting question. What if my parents don't have a Social Security number?
So if your parents don't have a Social Security number, you should be able to submit your FAFSA without the parent's signature, but that's something you will eventually need to address with your financial aid office. You can also print that signature page and mail that in to federal financial aid. But if you do have questions about that, specifically around socials, or if you don't have information that you need from your parents, get in touch with us directly. Everybody's situation is a little different, and if we can get some more information from you, we can give you the best advice.
Yeah, we can get you in touch with the right person at your college to
Exactly.
help kind of move that process along for you at your specific institution. And one thing I'll say is each institution, they're all unique, and so it helps if you get in touch with us because we typically know who to get you connected with. So it's a really good question.
Great question.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anything else. We'll stay on just for a minute or two more.
Sure.
I know a lot of you are class of 2022 students, so you're still in high school, moving through the process, so it's awfully an exciting time. But one thing I would remind you to do is watch your mandatory webinar. Deadline for that is also February 1st. You'll have an email from us every week that has a reminder for that, you'll go to Tennessee Achieves Connect and watch the webinar there. If you're unsure of how to complete any of these steps, if it's completing the mandatory webinar by February 1st, if it's filing the 2022-23 FAFSA by February 1st, if it's community service related, always get in touch with us. Don't let a question go unanswered. We want to answer your questions. We want to help you. But we don't know if you have a question if you don't ask. So we're to be proactive in that space. Let us know.
And you can respond to anything from us, any email that you get from us, any text message you get from us. If you respond, that goes directly to us, to live human beings.
Yep.
And you can DM us or message us on any of our social media. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're there, and we're happy to help you.
Oh, me. Okay. What happens if you miss your service hours for the month? Are you automatically kicked out and that's it? Well, so community service is due every semester. So you have multiple months to complete 8 hours of community service every semester. And this past one, December 1st, community service deadline is a Tennessee Promise requirement. So students that don't submit 8 hours of community service by the deadline do become ineligible for the scholarship. So very important. That's the reason why we send dozens of reminders about each requirement and each step of the way, because we know the importance of those and we don't want you to forget or miss them. So yes, so if a student doesn't meet a community service requirement, they do become ineligible for Tennessee Promise.
And if you have a question, I'm not sure who asked that, but if you have a specific question about your situation,
definitely
send us a DM on here and we'll get back to you.
Yep. Please get in touch with us if you have specific questions. We're happy to track down an answer for you. All right, guys. Well, that's all that we have. We allot 15 minutes for these unless we go over with more questions. It doesn't look like we have any more in the questions box. So thank you all so much for hopping on and joining us live. We'll see you again next Friday.
Thanks, guys.